Welcome to the Making Moves with Mal podcast. In every episode, you'll hear stories from individuals just like you that are trying to make an impact. They'll share their unique journey and some helpful tips that got them to where they are now. You'll hear conversations with people from all walks of life who are trying to make some moves. Now, here's your host, Mal.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Making Moves with Mal. I'm excited today because I have my younger brother Pablo that's going to be joining us and sharing his story in his journey of entrepreneurship, all his obstacles and everything he's overcome to get to where he is today. So before I let him introduce himself and who he is, I do want to say that one of the biggest things that I love about my brother and I look up to him about is that he is a go-getter and he's willing to, do things and learn things and put himself outside of his comfort zone. And he'll tell you his entrepreneurship journey started even back in high school. So I'll let him kind of get started with that. So thanks for coming today. Thanks for making it to our meeting here. Yeah,
excited to join. Thanks, Mauricio. And obviously, Mal, being my older brother, he's kind of witnessed my whole entrepreneurship grind and kind of where I started and what I started doing at a young age. So when I was 13 years old, that's kind of when I started cutting hair. Being a barber has kind of been something that's always been a part of me ever since a young age. Started out throughout high school. I remember doing free haircuts to, going to college and having everybody know my name because I used to cut hair. And even post-college, really great way to make side money, really good way to make connections with everybody. So I would say that that's definitely one of my first entrepreneurship endeavors and ventures that I did.
Let's talk about your entrepreneurship with becoming a barber. How did that interest even start? Like, what made you want to say, like, hey, I think I want to learn about cutting hair? Like, where did that come from?
Yeah, so I wanted to learn how to cut hair, honestly, because I had broken my leg my freshman year of high school, and I was basically sidelined. I couldn't play soccer, and I was friends with a lot of soccer players, and, it was basically freshman year going into, like, the freshman team soccer, and I couldn't be a part of it because I had broken my leg that summer, so I basically had a lot of free time afterwards because all of my friends were at soccer practice, so I started to just kind of explore how to cut hair and kind of just went with it and just kept practicing and practicing. Obviously, I practice on my little cousins a lot, messed up. But it, just kept at it and I feel like I got to a point where now I'm a pretty good barber.
Because you didn't go to barber school, right?
I did not go to barber school. I just completely self-taught. And back in the day, when I started back in 2008, there wasn't, all these Instagrams, all these YouTube videos of how to cut hair. It was a lot, like that material was not out there. So learning was basically like me going to the barbershop and just kind of sitting there for like an hour, 2 hours before my haircuts, kind of asking my barber questions and kind of just watching it and then doing it. It wasn't no like how-to videos like you have now on YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. And so you picked that up, you kept going with it, right? You kept practicing and practicing and perfecting the craft.
Yeah.
And then you got to the point where it was you were comfortable enough to actually have people pay you for this, right?
Yeah, when I started, it was completely free. Like, I would beg people, hey, let me cut your hair. I got you for free. Don't even worry about it. Like,
how much hesitation, how much pushback would you get from people? I don't want a free haircut.
Everybody. There was so much pushback. Like, nobody wanted me to cut their hair. I remember a lot of the times, like, when I would cut somebody's hair, you have other people telling them, like, man, that haircut sucks. Like, yo, this guy did such a shitty job, But now those same people are now begging me, hey, Pilo, can I get a haircut? I heard you're back in town. Hey. So, it's kind of full circle.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a true testament of perfecting your skills, perfecting your craft, and then, going from no value to adding so much value, right? So going from offering a free service just to get yourself out there, just put yourself out there, to now being in that demand where people are willing to pay you well for that haircut. So that's awesome. So you did that all through high school. You started freshman year, did it all through high school, and then come college, obviously, you went out of state for college, so you didn't stay local.
Yeah.
And that you brought that with you, right? You kept cutting hair even.
Yeah, kept cutting hair in college. In college, it was kind of like almost starting from square one, but not really, because obviously I had now the skill of I knew how to cut hair. Now
you're in a new environment. Right?
Yeah, now I just had to make that pick up clients. Let people know that hey, I cut hair. Kind of get my name out there. So I remember, I started cutting hair in the dorm hallways. Like I would just have a little chair out there. I had this little rolling cart that I bring out, cut his hair, do haircuts, and then after when I was done, I would go downstairs, run out the vacuum, and then just vacuum everything up. You have people walking down the hallways of the dorm just be like, what's going on? But then people obviously started to finally know me and like, oh, he cuts hair, he's the barber, don't worry. So yeah, that's when I started my freshman year.
Yeah, I mean that's like marketing 101, right? Putting it out there consistently so that people see the product, see what you offer, and then the market then will start to respond to that. So
yeah.
What are some of the connections that you've made, or some of the what would you say some of your highlights that you've gained even in life experiences, or just people that you've met that you've gotten directly from being a barber, directly from cutting hair?
I mean, yeah, I've made so many connections just through cutting hair. Like I remember back in high school, I used to cut one of the Pizza Hut managers' hair. So he would bring me pizza every time he'd come get a haircut, just different people that I met throughout just like my whole journey. And then like in college, obviously it's kind of a whole different group of people, because now it's like you're cutting all, educated individuals that are gonna, potentially be, big names and, might be cutting the next president here. You don't know, kind of thing. Like,
right.
So yeah, now a lot of people that I've cut, they're all over the U.S. And just having that connection with them and having that, me being their barber and still being connected with them on social media is like, anytime I travel and there's somebody in that city that I know because of haircutting, they always want to say, hey, Pablo, what's up, man? Like, let's hang out. It's just been a great networking, situation. And even to that, like, kind of getting on a bigger stage of, like, being able to cut the Michigan State basketball team. Like, a lot of them, I would cut their hair. And, some of them now are pro, in the NBA. And, to this day, we're still friends. We're still friends on Instagram, friends on all social media, basically. And they'll contact me whenever they're in town and say, hey, can I get a haircut? Or, hey, I got tickets if you want to go to today's game. And, yeah, it's a pretty sweet thing to have. Appreciate their friendship. And, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that's opened a lot of opportunities for you. But I think one of the biggest factors, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've learned, this taught you the value of actually being a business owner, right? Because even with cutting hair, there's expenses. You got to pay for clips and machines and sprays and all this stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at any barber, they're like a business in themselves. Like every barber, a barbershop, there's a barbershop, but every barber there is basically running their own business. They're renting a chair. They have to kind of market their own people to get their own clientele. They have to, make sure that they have room for expenses whenever they need to buy new clippers, whenever they need to buy extra materials, any supplies that they need. It's definitely how I learned entrepreneurship at a young age. And I didn't even know what entrepreneurship really was. But it's kind of funny now that I graduated Michigan State and my minor is entrepreneurship and innovation. So had taken classes and everything of that. So
goes full circle, man.
Yeah.
Right? So you went to Michigan State. You got a degree in packaging, so packaging engineering, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then out of college, what was the plan then out of college?
Yeah, so out of college, I always wanted to be kind of like an engineer. When I graduated, I went into this company called LBP Manufacturing. They did like paper and cardboard products for quick service restaurants. So like McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, Tim Hortons, Dunkin' Donuts, all that. And I was a project manager for them right out of college, which was really good because, usually kind of takes some time in order to get into project management. But I was lucky enough, I guess, all the experiences that I had, all the internships that I had to kind of put me even that step higher, and them trusting me and hiring me in as a project manager. I was the youngest one on the team, so it was
impressive.
Good experience.
Nice. So then let's talk now. Obviously, your career kind of has evolved. Obviously, pandemic happened. There were some changes. So let's speak on that. Like, what happened?
Yeah. So pandemic happened. We worked in the quick service restaurants, so all those businesses, a lot of them shut down or like just stopped. They didn't know. Weren't producing really. At that level. So it just kind of they actually let me go due to COVID-19. So I mean, it was
they
a blessing.
downsized, or they
they just
laid a lot of people off.
Yeah, they laid a lot of people off just due to the
just the lack
just
of
the uncertainty and just not knowing like what would happen in the market of food and restaurants. A lot of people weren't going out to eat, so if they're not going out to eat, we're not selling our products.
Right.
So I ended up getting basically terminated due to COVID-19, but that was a blessing in itself, because with that, I definitely was still able to kind of evolve, I guess, because that kind of pushed me to look into real estate, right? So during my downtime of that, while I was kind of like job searching, I was also taking the course for real estate. So I did the course for real estate, and I didn't finish it. I went and I got another job as a product development engineer at a plastics company, but I hated that job.
What did you like about it?
I hated that job. It was just not that environment. The culture just wasn't there. It was draining, honestly. Like, I would wake up and I'd just be like, man, like, this is such a not welcoming place to work. Like, really, like, it was hard. Like, they would there was almost like some animosity between like the other product development engineers towards me for some reason. Like, I don't know if she thought that I was like gonna try to take her job or kind of one up her or something. So she never really helped me like really develop or kind of learn the whole processes. So it was really like I was on my own a lot, and my boss had ended up getting a promotion, so he was like the director now and like had less time. So I was kind of like a lone wolf in the island, like just kind of, all right, figure it out. And I tried, and but it was just like not something I saw myself doing long term, and just the culture in itself was just not one that I really wanted to be a part of. So that's the first time I actually put in a resignation letter, and but I was proud of myself for doing that, just because I still didn't really know what was up next. Like, I didn't know what I had lined up. I didn't have a full-time job, I guess, lined up.
There was no backup. I mean, you're still cutting hair.
Yeah, cutting hair, obviously, some of that, but I'd also just closed on my property in August or October, and when I put in my resignation, it was December. So, just bought a house,
extra responsibilities, added expenses.
I was like, you know what? I don't want to be in a place. I don't want to get up every day going to a job that I hate.
Yeah,
like, that was just not where I saw myself. Not the values that align myself. Like, I want to work because I enjoy it, not because
you're forced to be there.
Yeah, I'm forced to be there, and it's just like, didn't want to do that.
That doesn't work long term, man. Like, I know there's a lot of people out there.
There's a lot of people that stay in a
job just because the money or but they hate it or they're miserable.
Yeah,
and all that eats at you, man. Physically, mentally, like, it's draining.
It started to get to the point where like it would bleed over into my regular life. Like, I don't like to, usually the 9-to-5 jobs, I don't really take those past 5. Like, try to keep everything at work, but that job was really draining to the point where like I would get frustrated sometimes. I'm just like, man, like at home, and it's just like, so it was just I just wanted to get out of that situation, and I'm proud I did. I put my resignation. My boss was kind of like shook of like, hey, what's going on? And it's like, hey, I kind of gave you a lot of signs, let you even know what's going on, what I needed help with. You didn't really help me out, so
there was a lack of support. There was lack of leadership.
Yeah. So I was like, might as well walk. I'm really glad I did. Honestly, like I said, I didn't have anything lined up, but being able to do that, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna be okay. I think that that's one thing that I've learned throughout my life is that, you know, we can go through a lot of things, and you know, as long as we keep on having that positive energy, just that hope of like, hey, you know what, everything's gonna be okay. Let's just work this out and let's keep working. You know, just hard work, and you can get it anywhere in life, really.
Yeah, and to that, it's like taking risks, you know, because at the end of the day, a lot of stuff happens outside of that comfort zone. So if you don't take a risk to even, you know, put in those 2 weeks, you don't know what other opportunities are out there. So yeah, you know, that's a big step.
Yeah, and that's again, I never finished that course that I started with the real estate. So then once I quit in December, that's kind of when I picked it back up and finished it. And I got licensed in February or end of February, and then began working in commerce
of last year.
Yeah.
Right? So
it's been a year. A little bit, like a year and a half now that I've been doing real estate, and it's been going good. You know, I've been blessed to have people, you know, trust me and you know, giving me that opportunity of letting me help them find their forever homes or find, you know, investment properties. I think that that's something that is kind of want to be my specialty is the multi-unit.
Yeah.
Because I myself own a multi-unit, so that's
and I think
my specialty.
Yeah, and going back to kind of having that kind of can-do attitude, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's very important. Like being able to do, just being able to put yourself in a position where, like, you know, I may not know the answer to this right now, but I want to figure it out. I want to find a solution to it. Even with like your other stuff, right? Like, you know, you're very handy when it comes to like, you know, learning and wanting to educate yourself on like even like remodeling stuff or just the homeowner stuff. Because I know you redid your whole basement, right?
I redid my whole basement
from scratch, right? It was nothing.
Did everything. Did drywalling. Learned about drywalling, framing. We did electrical work with my uncle. I did the plumbing. I just did concrete work. We did epoxy floors, installed cabinets, you know, granite countertops. So, yeah, I learned it all, honestly. And it's one of those things where, you know, what I like to say is a YouTube university. You know, you'll find a lot of things on YouTube and using other resources. TikTok has actually been a huge thing that I've been using lately. I've gained a pretty good following just making videos like that.
And you learn a lot from...
Yeah, learned a lot, and it's just like you know, you kind of create a community in that in itself where, hey, you post a video and somebody might even comment and say, hey, have you ever tried to do this instead, or hey, have you ever tried to do it this way? So it's a really you know, then you'll obviously have the trolls, but you know, you kind of block those out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got a good following on that now, and I'm still trying to post videos of like, you know, doing some remodeling around my house, some other homeowner stuff. You know, being a landlord and all that stuff, giving them tips. And yeah, so I think that's kind of like what my niche is in the social media world right now. Yeah.
So going back to, again, sharing your journey about becoming an entrepreneur and everything that you've kind of, you've been through as a barber or self-taught barber and now, you know, real estate broker. How do those two things kind of work with each other? How do they coincide together?
That's
like, what are some lessons you've learned as a barber that you can interpret them also in the real estate space?
When it comes to barbering and when it comes to real estate, persistence and perseverance is key, right? It's you know, you're gonna have a lot of people that, you know, those quote unquote haters that are gonna say, hey, you know what, you're not that good at cutting hair, or hey, what do you know about selling a house, right? Like when people first start, you know, you start anything, you don't know, right? You don't know what you don't know. Right, so it's about kind of building that foundation and kind of creating that strong structure of just keep on going. You know, you gotta like don't stop when the road gets hard. Just keep on going, pushing through, because you know there are a lot of people that become barbers. And they'll do it for like a year, maybe 2 years, and then you know kind of fall off because they're not getting that good or getting to that point where they want to be. Kind of same thing goes with real estate. You know, it's a hard grind. And, you know, there's a lot of agents that, you know, quit after year 2, after year 3, you know, just because it gets so hard. And I think that's the thing with barbering and real estate that kind of go hand in hand, is just that perseverance and persistence of just keep on grinding, and the work you put in is what you're going to get out of it.
Yes. No, I totally agree that, hard work will always outperform anything. If you're working hard at it and you're willing to learn and develop yourself and get those skills needed to perfect your craft, like anything is really possible. And like you said, we all start somewhere. We all start from zero. And I think learning and being open to failure and learning from those failures, because a lot of people take those lessons and you can turn it into a negative or you can turn it into a positive, right? So there's a lot of learning lessons as business goes on, as your journey goes on. So on that topic, what do you think has been your most motivating reason as to why you do like what you do? Like what's your main motivation?
Yeah, I think my biggest motivation is just knowing where I come from, what our parents went through, their families and their parents, they didn't really have that much of opportunity, and being able for them to provide us with an opportunity to be successful, it's like, why waste that? Like, there's nothing worse than wasted talent. And I think that, it's that talent that we have of just being go-getters and just, grinding it out. Like, those are strong values that I think our parents taught us, and, it'd be a shame for me not to utilize it to my fullest potential.
For sure, man. No, I totally agree, man. It's like, sometimes it's hard to put ourselves in their position because we don't know what they've been through, but we see the struggles that, and this goes for a lot of, first generation, a lot of immigrant families. They come here for a better life, not only for them, but for their future, right? For their next generations. And so we're given this awesome opportunity to expand on that and really take that to the next level. I wholeheartedly agree that, there's so many opportunities, especially here, that there's so many opportunities that are provided, and it's up to us to kind of take advantage of those and maximize our potentials.
Yeah, definitely.
So what would you say to somebody that wants to become a barber? Let's say they want to start. Like, what are some of the struggles? What are some of the things that they can do? What should they look for?
So when it comes to becoming a barber, I think the best thing that you can do is, practice. There's a lot of, like I said, when I started, there wasn't that many videos. Now there's hundreds of videos of how to. I recommend, watching a lot of those, and then practice on whoever will let you practice on them.
Yeah.
You don't have to get the best clippers, but buying some quality clippers will allow you to, create a good product, and understand that, hey, your haircut isn't going to be the best when you first start. You're not going to be a top-notch Instagram barber when you first start. Like, yeah, it might not be the best, but if you continue to do it, you're going to get better at it. It's every haircut, you should be better than your last kind of thing, and just don't give up. That's the hardest thing, is like, don't give up. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to say, hey, you're not that good, or hey, man, you messed me up, or hey, man, you gave this guy such a bad haircut, and kind of poke fun at you, and kind of blocking all that noise and just continuing on with the craft and learning and understanding that, hey, I'm going to get better after every haircut. I'm going to get better after every haircut, and really try to, kind of capture as many knowledge and as many information as you can from the resources, and ask questions too. That's a big thing. Like, ask questions. My mom taught me that, hey, like, ask questions, because the worst thing they can say is no.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt you to ask a question. So if you ever, you can ask me. I'm more than happy. There are friends that kind of contact me, especially during the pandemic when people started cutting their hair. They'd reach out to me, hey, Pablo, what do you recommend about this? Or hey, do you recommend this machine or this machine? I'm more than happy to help. I started there once, so yeah.
Yeah. Knowledge is power, man. Knowledge is key, and I feel like we never stop learning, and you should never want to stop learning. I mean, I feel like you're always going to learn new things about new topics. and having that entrepreneurial mindset is what kind of evolves that. You know, it helps you like want to keep pushing and keep growing and keep taking things to that next level, right? So where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years?
Man, the next 3 to 5 years, I'm hoping to have at least 2 buildings, but definitely 1.
Okay.
Another building, so on top of the one that I currently have, I want to get another building. I definitely see my real estate business growing as well. I want to grow that. And I'm just trying to, you know, be more active, be more healthy, with better choices, I guess, working out. So 3 to 5 years, I see myself doing all that, and you know, I'll see how that goes.
Yeah, for sure, man. No, well, and you know, as the older brother in me always wants to make sure that, you know, you're maximizing your potential always, right? So I think having people like that in your life that are willing to, you know, give you that constructive criticism, give you that those kind of kicks in the butt that you need, those reality checks that you need to know, like, hey, I'm the way my life is projecting is going in the right path, and it's something that that you look forward to. So I think you're gonna keep. I think you have such a great just outlook on life, and a great mentality to want to learn and develop, and I see big things in your future as well, man. So I'm excited that you came on to share your story. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode. See ya.
See ya.